Hello, and thank you for joining me on my video series, Installing and Configuring IBM Domino 9 Social Edition on CentOS 6. I'll be covering both 64-bit and 32-bit versions. I am your host, Devin Olson, and this is part 4B2, Firewall Configuration using Webmin. In our previous version, of this video series, we had installed Webmin, and now we're going to use Webmin to configure our firewall. So let's go ahead and get started. Here's the console from our previous version. We had just barely finished installing Webmin, and now what I want to do is I want to use a browser to connect to my Linux server. Very quickly, I can use the IPA command to find out the IP address of my Linux server. There it is. Here's right here on the Ethernet 0 device. The internet IP address is 10.211.55.11. So we're going to go ahead and enter 10.211.5. Oops. .55.11. Was it 55.11? Double check that. Yes, 55.11, and Webmin runs on port 10,000, so 55.11, 10.0.0.0, hit enter. Now I need to log in, and so I'm going to log into Webmin. I have to log in using the root user ID that I have previously configured for this system, so we'll go ahead and we'll log in right here. Here we go. Here's the Webmin interface. It's a nice browser interface. Makes it very, very, very easy to do configuration and administration using any web browser for any Domino, or excuse me, for any Linux server. And you can see up here Webmin version 1.620 on demo.learningxpages.com and the operating system version that it's running. So what I want to do is I want to come over here and I want to go to networking. And I want to go to the Linux firewall. Here's the firewall for my Linux server, and what we're going to do is we're going to add some ports. We're going to open up some ports for our firewall. Now you'll notice it's currently not active on boot, so it doesn't happen on boot. I can do all kinds of cool stuff, but what I want to do here is I want to insert some commands. So come down here. It's by default it's accepting established commands. It's accepting that. ICMP, it's accepting loopback commands. It's already accepting commands to port 22, which is our SSH port. And then after that, it always rejects everything. So I want to insert a command immediately above this one. And here we go. So it's pretty simple. What's a comment for this? I want to accept HTTP. And by default, I'm going to accept it. It needs to be, if the incoming interface is THO, so that's not what I need. I need to, there we go, network protocol. If incoming network protocol is TCP, okay, so far so good, and the port is port 80, which is HTTP, I want to accept it. So accept, that's just a comment. Accept port 80 equals TCP, boom, 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 and the connection is new. So go ahead and create this rule. The rule is now connected for port 80. I'm going to do the same thing for excuse me. Sorry about that. I'm having a horrible frog in my throat. Okay, sorry, come back. I'm going to do the same thing for NRPC, notes remote procedure calls. That's going to be port number 1352. So let's come back down here. I want to TCP is my network protocol, and the destination port is 1352. I want to equals, and I want it to accept equals existing equals new connection. There we go. Great. And I think I screwed up the other one. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, I screwed up this other one because I set source port, not destination port. So I can just go ahead and click on that accept and come and I can change this. So We're going to ignore the source port. We're going to equal the destination port. There we go. That's where I screwed this one up. So we'll save that. So I've got 80, I've got 1352. Let's add it for mail. So SMTP. We're going to accept SMTP calls that are going to port 25 because that's our SMTP port. Don't forget the protocol. Must be TCP. I want this to be a new connection, and we'll create that rule. And so 80, 1352, 25. I know I'm forgetting something. Oh, I know what I need. I need to accept Domino, D-O-M-I-N-O, remote server setup. So I can actually set up my Domino server later on. The destination port for that is 8585. Protocol needs to be TCP. Destination 8585 equals new. Create that rule. There we go. Let's add another rule for webmin. So I want to be able to come back, because once I turn this firewall on, if I haven't enabled the webmin port, it'll shut me down. Linux security, I don't get to come in unless I've allowed it. So network protocol is TCP, the destination port is 10,000, and let's come down here, equals a new connection, create, so there we go. You know what? Let me add HTTPS while I'm thinking about it. So that's port 443. I don't have a security token at this time, but just in case I want it, in the real world, I'm sure you're going to want SSL running, so we'll just add that port as well. TCP is equal destination port 443, and for new connections. Alright, so there. All of that is in place. I'm going to come down here and I want to activate this on boot, and I could choose that, but then I also have to set activate it on boot so that it actually writes it to the check config command, or writes it using the check config command, and at that point I'm good. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this configuration. My firewall is now in place, and I can verify that by simply, let me log out of here, close this, I can come back, and remember previously we had stopped, if you recall, we had stopped the iptables service. So if I go service, iptables, status, you can see it's running now. So that's pretty cool, pretty happy with that. All right, so now we've finished configuring this firewall. Let me do a couple of more things real quickly, and we can do these super quick. What we're going to do is we're going to edit the hosts file. Let's add a host name. So v/etc/hosts. So there's my hosts file, and what I want to do is let's come down here. And it was, oh gee, what was my 10? I can't even remember what the IP address was. 10.211. There we are. 10.2.11.55.11. 10.2.11.55.11. So 10. Oops. 10.211.55.11, and this is demo.learningxpages.com, and demo is my short name. And we'll escape, and shift WQ. I can cat that to verify. Happy with that. And the last thing I want to do is yum -y update. And this is telling my yum command to go update everything. And it's going to update everything. And while it's doing that, there's not much more that we're going to do at this point. The firewall is now configured. Domino, or excuse me, not Domino, CentOS, my Linux is updating everything to make sure everything's up to date and nice and clean. That's pretty much the end of this video. You can read more about Xpages development on my site, learningxpages.com. You can read my blog where I just babble on about all kinds of stuff at devinolson.net. And my buddy David Leedy runs a website, notesin9.com, where you can learn all kinds of cool and amazing things through all kinds of very awesome tutorial videos. Once again, I am Devin Olson, and I thank you for joining me.